Most travelers assume Vietnam is dramatically cheaper than Thailand, and in some ways, that's true. But in 2026, the gap isn't as simple as YouTube comments make it sound. Depending on how you live, where you stay, and how long you remain, the difference can shrink fast, or even reverse. If you're planning a trip, a few months abroad, or a long-term move, small cost misunderstandings can quietly add hundreds to your monthly budget. By the end of this video, you'll understand where Vietnam really saves you money, where Thailand may actually offer better value, and how to choose based on your lifestyle, not just street food prices. Because this comparison only makes sense when you look beyond the obvious. This is where most people get overconfident. Many travelers compare a $1 bowl of PHO in Vietnam to a $3 street meal in Thailand and immediately decide Vietnam is way cheaper. On paper, that sounds logical. In reality, street food is a small portion of a long-term budget. What actually changes the total cost is lifestyle. If you live like a local in Vietnam, local food, modest apartment, limited imported goods, yes, it's generally cheaper. But the moment you start adding Western groceries, modern condos, co-working spaces, craft coffee, or nightlife, the gap narrows quickly. Thailand, especially Bangkok, often looks more expensive at first glance, but it also has stronger infrastructure, larger supermarkets, better public transport, and more standardized pricing. That predictability sometimes prevents unexpected spending. So the real myth isn't that Vietnam is cheaper. It's assuming it's cheaper for every type of traveler. But rent is where the numbers start to feel more dramatic. Rent is where the gap looks huge until you compare properly. In cities like Ho Chi Minh City or Da Nang, you might find a one-bedroom apartment for $300 to $500 per month. In Bangkok, a similar listing might show $450 to $700. At first glance, Vietnam wins clearly. But here's what many travelers miss: what's included. In Thailand, condos often include gym access, pool, 24-hour security, maintenance teams, and professional management. In Vietnam, cheaper apartments may exclude cleaning, water fees, parking, or building service charges. Some buildings have inconsistent management or older infrastructure. If you compare a serviced apartment in Bangkok with a basic unit in Vietnam, you're not comparing the same product. The smarter way to compare is lifestyle equivalent housing. When you match similar standards, modern building, elevator, good insulation, reliable management, Vietnam is usually still cheaper, but the difference may shrink to $100 to $200 per month instead of $300. And this is where comfort expectations start affecting total cost. Street food isn't your whole monthly budget. Vietnam clearly wins on local food pricing. A bowl of PHO or bun cha can cost $1 to $2. In Thailand, similar street meals often range from $2 to $4. Over time, that adds up. But most long-term travelers don't eat street food for every meal. Once you start buying imported cheese, wine, cereal, or Western snacks, prices rise quickly in both countries. Imported groceries are expensive across Southeast Asia. Thailand often has larger international supermarket chains with consistent pricing. Vietnam's imported selection has improved, but availability and pricing can vary by city. If you cook local ingredients and eat Vietnamese dishes, your monthly food budget in Vietnam can stay very low, sometimes under $200. In Thailand, a similar lifestyle might cost slightly more. But if your diet stays Western, both countries become surprisingly similar in cost. And daily transportation is where the differences become less obvious than people expect. This catches long-term travelers off guard. In Vietnam, short grab rides can cost just a few dollars. Motorbike taxis are affordable, and scooter rentals can range from $60 to $120 per month. On the surface, mobility feels cheap, but Vietnam's public transport systems are still developing. Outside major cities, you'll rely heavily on ride-hailing or personal scooters. Thailand, especially Bangkok, has a more structured transport network. The BTS SkyTrain and MRT make daily commuting predictable. While a single ride might cost slightly more than a Vietnamese bus, the efficiency often reduces daily friction. Owning or renting a motorbike in either country adds hidden costs: fuel, maintenance, possible repairs, and insurance. These are often underestimated in monthly budgets. So while Vietnam may appear cheaper per ride, Thailand's organized system can reduce unexpected transport spending over time. But your visa situation may influence costs even more than your daily transport. Your visa can quietly change your monthly budget. Vietnam offers an e-visa system with a clear upfront fee. It's straightforward, but the length of stay and extension options matter. If you need to exit and re-enter, flight or border costs add up. Thailand's visa system varies by nationality. Some travelers receive visa exemptions, others apply for tourist visas, and long-stay options have evolved in recent years. While entry may appear cheaper at first, extension fees or visa runs can increase overall cost. Some travelers report confusion about extension procedures or changing requirements. What remains consistent is this: overstays are expensive in both countries. If you plan short visits, visa costs may not significantly impact your monthly average. But for digital nomads or retirees staying several months, visa planning becomes a real financial factor. And small recurring bills are where budgets slowly leak without people noticing. This is where small costs quietly add up. Electricity in both countries can spike during hot seasons. Air conditioning usage heavily influences monthly bills. In Vietnam, older buildings sometimes have less insulation, which increases cooling costs. A moderate apartment might pay $40 to $80 per month in electricity depending on usage. Thailand's modern condos may be slightly more energy efficient, but heavy AC use still increases bills significantly. Internet costs are relatively affordable in both countries. Speeds in major cities are generally reliable for remote work. The difference usually isn't dramatic. Water, cleaning services, building maintenance, and parking fees are the small categories that surprise new residents. These may not appear in the advertised rent. Individually, these expenses seem minor. Combined, they can add $50 to $150 monthly. Healthcare is another category many travelers underestimate until they need it. People don't budget for this until something happens. Thailand has built a strong reputation for private hospitals and medical tourism. Facilities in Bangkok and Chiang Mai are modern and internationally recognized. Prices are still lower than the United States, but, higher than local clinics. Vietnam's private hospitals have improved significantly, especially in Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi. Basic consultations and minor treatments are often cheaper than in Thailand. However, serious procedures, international standard hospitals, and English-speaking specialists can narrow the price gap. Travel insurance remains important in both countries. Even affordable healthcare can become expensive without coverage. If you're staying short-term, this may not impact your monthly cost much. But long-term residents should factor in insurance premiums and possible medical visits. And this is where behavior starts influencing spending more than country pricing. The cheaper country can sometimes make you spend more. When daily prices feel low, spending increases naturally. Extra coffee doesn't feel expensive. Weekend trips seem affordable. Grab rides feel negligible. In Vietnam, the low base cost encourages frequent dining out and social spending. In Thailand, especially Bangkok, lifestyle temptations are everywhere. Rooftop bars, malls, islands, short flights. Neither country forces you to spend more, but both make it easy. This is where two travelers living in the same city can have completely different monthly budgets. One spends $800, another spends $1,800, without realizing how it happened. The country matters less than your spending habits. And when we break it down by traveler type, the differences become clearer. For backpackers staying 30 days, Vietnam often wins slightly. Budget travelers might spend $800 to $1,200 per month in Vietnam, compared to $1,000 to $1,400 in Thailand. For digital nomads staying 3 to 6 months in comfortable apartments, Vietnam may average $1,200 to $1,800 monthly. Thailand might range from $1,400 to $2,000 depending on city and lifestyle. Retiree couples living modestly could spend $1,500 to $2,000 in Vietnam. In Thailand, similar comfort may reach $1,800 to $2,500. Short-term vacationers may not see dramatic differences. Accommodation and flights often influence total cost more than daily expenses. So yes, Vietnam is generally cheaper on paper. But Thailand can offer more structure and predictability. The better choice depends on how you live, not just where you go. If you remember one thing from this comparison, it's this. Vietnam is usually cheaper in raw numbers, but Thailand often feels more predictable in structure. Your real monthly cost depends on housing standards, visa planning, food habits, and lifestyle choices, not just country averages. Both destinations can be affordable, both can become expensive. The difference comes down to details most travelers overlook early in planning. If you're deciding between the two, focus less on headline prices and more on how you personally travel. A little clarity now can prevent months of unnecessary spending later.